Commander-in-Chief. George Washington and the Revolutionary War. This comprehensive overview examines George Washington's role as Commander-in-Chief during the American Revolutionary War, focusing on his appointment and initial challenges, leadership style and strategic vision, the hardships of war, especially Valley Forge and morale, major campaigns and battles, relationships with officers and foreign allies, and the end of the war with the challenge of demobilization. 1. Appointment and initial challenges. Appointment as Commander-in-Chief. Context. In the spring of 1775, as hostilities erupted at Lexington and Concord, the Second Continental Congress recognized the need for unified military leadership. John Adams and others advocated for a Virginian commander to ensure broad colonial support, and George Washington, a respected Virginian with prior military experience, was the clear choice. Selection. On June 15, 1775, Congress unanimously appointed Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. Washington accepted with humility, expressing doubts about his abilities but pledging to serve the cause. Initial challenges. Upon taking command, Washington faced daunting obstacles, disunity, and lack of discipline. The army was a patchwork of militias from different colonies, each with its own customs and leadership. Soldiers often saw themselves as volunteers, not professional soldiers, making discipline difficult. Supply shortages. Chronic shortages of food, clothing, ammunition, and other essentials plagued the army. Congress, lacking taxation power, struggled to provide adequate resources. Inexperienced officers and troops. Many officers were chosen by local governments or by the men themselves, leading to inconsistent standards. The troops were largely untrained and unaccustomed to military discipline. Uncertain authority. Washington had to balance his authority with the independence of the states and the oversight of Congress, always mindful of maintaining civilian control over the military personal doubts. Washington was acutely aware of the burden of command and the possibility of failure, expressing deep personal anxiety in private correspondence. 2. Leadership style and strategic vision. Military background. Washington's earlier service in the French and Indian War provided valuable lessons in adaptability, logistics, and the importance of maintaining discipline and morale under adverse conditions. Leadership style adaptability. Washington learned from early defeats and shifted from seeking decisive victories to a more flexible, Fabian strategy, avoiding large-scale confrontations that could destroy his army, while striking opportunistically. Personal example. He led by example, sharing hardships with his troops and demonstrating resilience and integrity, which inspired loyalty, humility, and collaboration. Washington surrounded himself with talented officers and was open to their input, delegating authority and strengthening his command, ethical leadership. He consistently placed the cause of independence above personal ambition, most famously when he refused suggestions to become a monarch or dictator, and later when he resigned his commission to Congress' strategic vision. Preserve the Army. Washington's primary goal was to keep the Continental Army intact and in the field, recognizing that survival was more important than winning every battle. Fabian strategy. He adopted a strategy of strategic retreat and selective engagement, leveraging the vast geography of the colonies to stretch British resources, calculated risks. Washington was willing to take bold actions when necessary, such as the surprise attacks at Trenton and Princeton, which revived alliances and morale. He understood the importance of alliances, especially with France, and worked to maintain the support of Congress and the civilian population. The hardships of war. Valley Forge and morale. Valley Forge encampment, 1777-1778. Conditions. The winter at Valley Forge was marked by severe shortages of food, clothing, and shelter. Nearly 2,900 men were unfit for duty due to lack of clothing, and soldiers left bloody footprints in the snow, disease, and death. Crowded, unsanitary conditions led to outbreaks of typhus, dysentery, and influenza. Nearly 2,000 soldiers died, mostly from disease. Morale. The combination of military defeats and harsh conditions led to low morale and fears of mutiny or mass desertion. Washington's response. Personal example. Washington remained with his troops, sharing their hardships and demonstrating resilience. Supply reforms. He lobbied Congress and reorganized the supply system, appointing Nathaniel Greene as Quartermaster General, which improved conditions, training, and organization. Washington welcomed Baron von Steuben, who implemented rigorous training and standardized drills, transforming the Army into a disciplined force. Sanitation and health. New standards of camp hygiene helped reduce disease unity and purpose. Washington's leadership and the shared hardships fostered camaraderie and commitment. News of the French alliance in May 1778 further boosted morale significance. Valley Forge became a symbol of endurance and transformation, with Washington's leadership crucial in holding the Army together and preparing it for future successes. 4. Major campaigns and battles. Key campaigns and battles. Campaign battle date as outcome: significant siege of Boston, 1775-1776. British evacuation. American morale boost. New York campaign, 1776. Series of defeats. Skillful retreats by Washington, Trenton, and Princeton. Deck 1776, Jan 1777. American victories. Revived revolutionary cause. Philadelphia campaign, 1777-1778. British occupation. Valley Forge, Winter Saratoga, 1777. American victory. French alliance secured Monmouth, 1778. Tactical draw. Improved American Army performance. Yorktown, 1781. Decisive American-French victory. War's end. Export as CSV highlights Siege of Boston, 1775-1776. Washington's first major command, culminating in the British evacuation of Boston. New York and New Jersey campaigns, 1776-1777. Despite defeats, Washington's leadership preserved the Army through strategic retreats. Trenton and Princeton, Winter 1776-1777. Bold surprise attacks that revived American morale and the revolutionary cause. Philadelphia campaign, 1777-1778. Despite losing Philadelphia, the Army's transformation at Valley Forge was pivotal. Saratoga, 1777. Though not directly under Washington, this victory secured French support. A turning point in the war. Monmouth, 1778, demonstrated the improved discipline and effectiveness of the Continental Army. Yorktown, 1781. In coordination with French forces, Washington besieged Cornwallis, leading to the British surrender and the effective end of the war. 5. Relationships with officers and foreign allies. With his officers' loyalty and respect, Washington inspired loyalty and respect among his officers, fostering unity and discipline. He managed a diverse group, balancing strong personalities and mediating disputes. Key figures. He developed close relationships with officers like Henry Knox and the Marquis de Lafayette, the latter becoming almost like a son to him. Foreign officers such as Baron von Steuben played crucial roles in training and organization. With the Continental Congress complex relationship, Washington's relationship with Congress was sometimes strained due to chronic shortages and political interference. Nevertheless, he maintained a respectful, deferential attitude, setting a precedent for civilian control of the military resignation. His willingness to resign his commission at the end of the war was a powerful demonstration of his commitment to Republican principles with foreign allies. France. The alliance with France was vital. Washington worked closely with French officers, especially Lafayette and General Rochambeau, whose cooperation was crucial at Yorktown. Other foreign officers. Washington integrated expertise from Baron von Steuben, Prussia, Thaddeus Kosciuszko, and Casimir Pulaski, Poland, enhancing the Army's effectiveness. The end of the war and the challenge of demobilization, final stages and the Treaty of Paris, winding down. By 1783, major fighting had ceased, and the Army was encamped at Newburgh, New York, awaiting the outcome of peace negotiations. Treaty of Paris, signed on September 3, 1783, the treaty recognized American independence and established national borders. Demobilization and the Newburgh Conspiracy. Discontent. Many officers and soldiers had not been paid, leading to fears of mutiny or a military coup. The Newburgh Conspiracy. Washington's intervention. In March 1783, Washington diffused the crisis with a powerful address, appealing to his officers' sense of duty and honor, and reaffirming civilian control over the military resolution. Congress granted officers a lump sum payment, and the Army was gradually demobilized. Washington's resignation of his commission further cemented the principle of civilian supremacy. Significance. Washington's steady leadership during demobilization preserved the fragile new government and set a lasting precedent for the relationship between the military and civil authority in the United States. Conclusion: George Washington's tenure as Commander-in-Chief was defined by his ability to overcome immense challenges: disunity, supply shortages, military defeats, and political intrigue, through adaptability, personal integrity, and a strategic vision focused on preserving the Army and the revolutionary cause. His leadership at Valley Forge, his management of key relationships, and his handling of the war's end and demobilization were instrumental in securing American independence and establishing foundational principles for the new nation.